Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for spending a part of your evening with the City of Indio as we discuss a new proposed park near Jackson Street. I'm Brooke Berry. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing for the City of Indio. And let me bring the other players into our broadcast right now. I want to introduce you to Mike Edgar. He is the Parks and Facilities Coordinator for the City of Indio. Also, we have Chris Herman. He is the principal in charge of this project. And we also have Jose Estrada, the vice principal and project manager for Herman Design Group. Gentlemen, thanks so much for taking part in this public virtual workshop. Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about what our goals are for this evening?
Well, tonight we're going to review the last workshop, which we had on site at the park, the future park site. We're going to look at what the overall goals of the project are very quickly, kind of review what the top 10 items were folks wanted in this park. And then we had a workshop where the participants in the community actually were able to design and lay out the elements of the park that they identified as what they wanted in their community. As part of that, we were able to take away 5 good concepts, and we'll bring those back. We brought those back to our office, and we took the best of each and kind of compiled them into what we would call a preliminary master plan. And for tonight's meeting, we're going to ask for more input and any other further comments that folks have in the community about the project and the design layout that's been proposed.
So for those of you who are watching on Facebook right now, we're working through some audio issues. Let you know that it's distracting to you as it is to us, that we are trying to work through that right now. But you can certainly let us know that, if it hears that badly to you as it does to us. And if it doesn't, we're just going to go ahead and plow through. Mike, you've been working on this project as well as other projects within the City of Indio for a long time. What are you hoping to accomplish with this particular one?
We'd like to get started on the sports park, and with the community input, build a park that everyone will enjoy.
A man of few words, but great action. Thanks, Mike. And Jose, why don't you tell us a little bit about your involvement in this project as it's moved through the different phases, because this is our second virtual meeting and we have just one more in-person meeting.
Well, it's been a pleasure to work with the City of Indio, the community, how they've been involved, and to hear all their ideas. And, coming to this point now when we, put together a master plan that we're going to present tonight, it's just been a great experience and looking forward to see what the community says.
So what has the community said? Why don't we go through that? And Chris, you can take us through the PowerPoint that we put together so that folks can really get a good understanding of what we're talking about here.
That's great, Brooke. So if you'll go to the first slide, we are, again, we're going to kind of take a look at the park design workshop, kind of what we did as an overview. We're going to look at some conceptual plans that the community put together. We actually did cutouts of various ball fields and sizes of future indoor recreational facilities and dog park and a skate park, all the top 10 items. We're going to go through that. And then we're going to show the community what we did and compiled in what we call a preliminary master plan. We'll open up for questions and comments, and then we'll let you know the next and final meeting date before we take this to City Council. So moving on, I just wanted to make sure everybody who hadn't been in attendance on these has a good understanding of our project location, what the various parks within the city, where they are, what's within a 1 mile radius, which is that dashed line, kinds of uses that are around the park, where the CD Link Trail is located, where the bike trails are located. And you'll see that the park is centrally located and really has easy access to a lot of facilities and very easy access to many communities around the park, the future park site. The next slide we were going to look at real quickly is just what are the neighborhood areas. These are the neighborhood areas in the general plan. And again, that white circle indicates where 1 mile away, we touch, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different areas and neighborhoods where folks could easily walk or bike to this park site. The access to the park is really very nice. There's Jackson Street, there's 44, there's Market Street, very nice streets for transportation in and out, and there's bus routes, and again, I mentioned the bike routes. So if we'll move on, back a little, one more. I think we had one more. Okay, that's great. We'll go to the next one. So the meeting that we had I guess it was last Saturday before last, again in the park site, we opened up for the community, and we laid out the vision, the top 10 elements that the community wanted. We showed images of those types of facilities. And then you'll see on the kind of in the right-hand corner, we had blank park sites. The only thing we put down was where we think the circulation would be and where we suggested parking areas would be on the project site. We gave them little glue sticks and we gave them cutouts. And if you'll flip to the next slide, you'll see Mike there helping someone figure out where they should lay their ball fields or their soccer fields. The gentleman to the right, he was really, really into it. He probably did the most thorough job of understanding where things were and laying out trails and nodes and shade structures and where a future community building would be. If you flip to the next site, the next picture, you'll see the results. Now there are about 5 of these concepts, and this was the gentleman that we just looked at. This was his concept, and you can see where we had identified just the parking lot areas. And for the most part, the fields lay out to the north side on this project, with play area kind of in the center of the parking lot. And there's some ball fields to the left and dog park, skate park to the right, and some pickleball, tennis courts over there on the east side, just above the dog park. Those various nodes would be shade structures or exercise stations or something like that. The next concept that one of the community members had was to include some kind of a venue. That little purple thing we added to the concept. It's just we didn't have a cutout for it, but it represents what the general area would be for a community gathering space and what in an event area where some form of entertainment, whether it be casual music or a band of some type, could take place. And they did what we call a kind of a 4-spoke hub ball field layout to the right, and then kind of got their skate park down in the corner. And they put all their soccer fields and football fields to the left. They put their recreation facility towards the back of the project. So we looked at that and talked through it and said, you really probably need to get that closer to parking and make sure that folks who use that facility just for the purposes maybe of a private gym or something can get to it a little bit more easily. You can see also they added the dog park and their play areas. If you flip to the next one, this layout had some merit. The ball field orientations are a little bit awkward, but generally, so you can see where most of the folks picked up the green spaces were where the largest areas of fields would be. The thing we liked about this is they moved the recreation facility a little bit closer to the main street, put the skate park and the play area near that recreation facility, kept the dog park kind of on its own, basketball, tennis, or pickleball courts there right next to the skate park. The next picture again had some merit. It again tries to maximize the use of the ball fields, but it splits them up and tried to do an overlay system with the soccer fields. Kind of put the community building again to the back of the site, and figured that I think they figured that the tennis courts or the pickleball courts would be inside that building or adjacent to it. If we move to the next one, this one had probably more of the organization that you'll see in the final rendition. The ball fields, the overlay of the football field, the soccer, you can see that all kind of working as one big group. And to the left, where it says skate park, you can see to the left of that was where the future community indoor recreational facility would be. And they represented inside of there what a soccer field looks like, inside that 100,000 square foot area, what a tennis court or a pickleball court would look like. And we talked to the person that was working on this, and they were the ones that suggested to move to parking and having a parking lot that they could access, because people come and go into these facilities like a private club gym membership. So that might be a better organization for that building location, And again, I think the dog park being over by the parking lot is a separate little space to the left. So if we move to the next one, this is our office conference room, kind of our war room. We took all of these concepts, scanned them and pinned them up as prints up on our conference room wall and walked through the merits of each, kind of played with the different pieces and parts. This is Jose and one of our other designers, Ivan, working on it, trying to come up with what's the best solution that takes in all of this input. And the final slide is what we've kind of organized based on all the community input as to the location of all of these elements. And you can see right at Market Street, it's kind of the main entry into a drop-off area with organized ball fields that work off an kind of a lineal organized spine that takes the sight lines right through to the back. These ball fields on the right could be a baseball field, like a little league field. The ball field on the left would be more of a high school field, and there's soccer overlays shown there as well. And then there's outlines of a variety of different fields to the right, all different types and age groups. What's important to understand here is that this big grassed area can be a very nice flex space for a variety of uses. And it's surrounded by walking trails to the north. There's a DG trail. There's some, if you blow up a little bit and closer, you can see there's exercise stations. And we put the event lawn, go back. Go back if you can enlarge that just a hair. I don't know if you can do that. Yeah, there you go. So if you slide down to the right, you can see the event lawn area, some kind of a performance area. We've shown restrooms and shaded picnic structures. And the wider white curvilinear lines are promenade or walkway areas that we envision potentially for not just walking trails, but potentially a joint use bike trail if the city decides that's the direction they want to go, because there was some input about that. And just adjacent on Market Street is a Class 2 bike trail, so we want to provide bike access into the park and give people an opportunity to maybe put some art in public places. And as you move over to the west, as you're sliding over to the west, like you see here, the indoor recreation facility and the tennis ball and the pickleball courts behind. And then we've got the splash pad and the play areas just in a location where they're close to parking. They're visible from the street for police services to have an easy sight line. And they're able to be put in as a phase that doesn't necessarily rely on the indoor recreation facility initially, but be connected to the park in the future. Parking, there's plenty of parking. We've got parking lots shown in gray, and then we have overflow parking or additional parking spaces that are available should we need it. There's a north-south connection to the very west. You can see that parking lot connects Market Street and 44. There's a community garden to the north. Right just below that is a basketball court and some horseshoe pits. And then you'll see the dog park and the skate park, all again in that little island piece over there with a restroom of its own, a shade structure, a picnic area of its own. Shade trees throughout. Again, this is just kind of a compilation of all of the different ideas, and then taking our expertise on field orientation and efficiency of field layout, and trying to get the best we can based upon the top 10 items that the community is looking for. We can flip through some of those images, image photos now. Brooke, we've shown these before, but some folks might want to see, what kinds of play areas are out here in the valley and what we can do, for instance, with rock climbing on the right and ropes, or ground accessible, ADA accessible play equipment in engineered wood mulch. We also have some images of the rubberized surfacing. There's obviously swing sets here. Again, this would be all accessible to every ability in the community. So we flip to the next slide. You'll see what we are going to do with the fields and how we can create not only just retention basins, which will hold the stormwater, but those slopes will act as areas for spectators to be viewing the games that are going on, like the one shown up in the right-hand corner. Down below, you'll see how that's done with shade and bleachers, both on the right and on the bottom left. And then we talk about an arrival area or arrival sequence. The top left photo gives us an idea of, hey, we want to kind of feel like there's an organized place where people come and they know they've entered the park for drop off or for pickup and special events. One of the things I didn't mention on the plan is that there are areas for food trucks that are adjacent to that main entry, pop-up retail, which will be connected to the event lawn and the special events that go on. If you flip to the next slide, we had spaces for pickleball and tennis courts. This is just to show the variety of color choices that are available. The contrast on the left-hand side, that's the Xavier schools. They've used that purple and green, and then over on the right is Rancho Mirage, where we've gone to the more traditional clay colors and forest greens, and then down below are some. On the left is a combination of green and blue for a project that was over in Orange County. So if you flip to the next slide, we'll take a look at exercise stations. And, you know, there's a whole variety of exercise stations. There's group stations where there's several different exercises available. Like on the right-hand side, you see Rancho Mirage. In the middle, you'll see Sunrise Park in Palm Springs. And on the left is just a single station where there might be one exercise piece. So we'll be getting into those kinds of decisions as we get further along in the design development. Picnic areas, obviously group and single. This represents these concrete, very sustainable. The city uses recycled glass and concrete for all of their picnic areas, their trash receptacles. So we recycle and we are sustainable, and we're taking care of some of the things that we need to be thinking about as we think about our planet. So move forward to the next one. We mentioned walking paths. On all of these just represent different widths and materials that are used in trails and walking paths. The bottom left-hand corner is a promenade. That's at Rancho Mirage. Shows how when you have 12 feet of width, what you can really do with that space, with benches and bollards. And then some of the other images are just different textures and colors that combine into a nice organic feeling within the park. If you move down a little bit further, we have shade opportunities. We've shown these before, but I just wanted to go again and just show you that you've got shade sails that will be over play equipment. They can be multi-tiered or single hip style. The hard covered group picnic shelters, we've used those at Miles Avenue Park. The one on the bottom right hand side is in Rancho Mirage. It's a shade sail on 4-5 posts. It's really a cool and effective way to take care of providing some relief from the heat. And I think the last two are water play and what we can do with the city already has a lot of water play areas that are being reconstructed, and there's just more opportunities for that. The upper left-hand corner is one in Coachella. The bottom couple are in play areas in some private residential recreation centers in Orange County. If you flip the next one, again, some of these benches are really fun, and bike racks. The dog park bone is in Rancho Mirage. This bench down on the right-hand side is in Rancho Mirage. And I'm not sure where the bike rack is. It might be in Europe. It's a very cool, artsy kind of a thing. So these are fun things. We like to try to get them into parks. Parks should be fun. They make life better. And we want to try to think through the entire theming of the park and make sure everything ties well together in one unified message. And there's nothing better than art in parks, and the city's got a really great art in public places program. So we're going to make sure we see pieces like these in places that are dedicated for art. That's the last, I think there's one. Yeah, there's an art walk concept. I think this is the event lawn area we mentioned in the final presentation. There would be some place to do some sort of entertaining on the left-hand side. Actually, all of these are from the city of La Quinta when they do their arts festival on the left-hand side. I think the upper right-hand side might be the city of Coachella. But either way, this gives you an idea of a variety of things. Dog parks and separating different sized dogs and providing places for community. We have our own City of Indio dog park there on the bottom, right off the Golf Center Parkway. Lots of fun over there. The idea of an indoor recreational facility, it shows you what the breadth and scope of the play activities that can take place in there. from football to soccer to football, whole bunch of different things can happen inside that space. And for the desert, that'd be an awesome place to hang out. And of course, the skaters in the community are going to love having a new skate park location and just showing different images of skate parks that we've worked with or friends of ours have done. Okay, I think that's the formality of the presentation. Do we have any questions or comments coming through, Brooke?
Yes, Chris. In fact, we have quite a few. So I want to get to them a little bit, and we can go back. Let's see if I can get us to those other sections as we get there. I'm going to bring back Mike and Jose as well so that they can answer these questions as they come through. So we had a comment a little while ago. Hopefully he's still watching, but from Ol Esmeralda, recommending a volleyball court with sand because, or this might be a girl. I apologize for that. Ol, maybe this is talking about a volleyball court with sand because when this person has to play, they have to go all the way to Coachella. So, Mike, you can speak to that. Are there sand volleyball courts in Indio right now?
There is one at Jorth Park.
Okay, so there is one, but it sounds like maybe there is opportunity for that. And I'm trying to remember, Chris, is that something that was part of the design?
No, volleyball was not on the top 10 list, but I think it's a good idea. I think there's plenty of space here and we can work that into the plan.
Yeah, I'd love to see this. These were a lot of I'm going through here some of the plans on the left. Maybe I can share it again. The community plan and then the preliminary master plan. So I'm going to share that one again as we talk about it. This is what we were looking at, and see if I can get back into the full screen here. And where do you see some room possibly for this?
Well, this park's got almost 39 acres, and the size of a volleyball court is very similar to the size of a pickleball court. So if you could just kind of screen back to, there you go, keep going, right? Yeah, so I would, Jose can throw in on this. I think he would be a good resource to talk through it, but you can see where we put the tennis and the pickleball courts, the four that are grouped together. That space right there represents the scale of a volleyball court.
We can easily place them right up in that north notch here where the trees are. It's open right now.
Are you talking about right here?
Oh, yeah, right there.
Okay, so speaking of that, we have another comment from Nick Delgado. And Nick, you were asking about a place to submit comments and feedback. So I put that there at the bottom of the screen. It's been scrolling so that you can get, your chance to provide input. But he wants to talk about the tennis courts as opposed to the pickleball courts. And it's interesting that the pickleball courts made this final rendering because at the beginning they did not rank particularly high, Chris.
Yeah, and then as we got more comments, we're finding that more pickleball courts are becoming more and more popular, and we're seeing in other parks throughout the community they're being converted tennis courts are being converted to pickleball. Again, 2 tennis courts or 4 pickleball courts. Those are things we can certainly discuss with the city in terms of adding additional tennis courts, reducing the amount of pickleball. I think we'd be looking at the overall park and recreation facilities throughout the city, Mike, and figuring out, okay, what do we have in tennis and where do we need to add more? And will this park need to have 4 tennis courts, 2 pickleball? What do you think?
We do have some tennis courts at South Jackson Park and North Jackson Park. We can always add more tennis courts, but we do have some, and Patton Park has tennis court. So we do have several throughout the city.
There's a comment from Celia here, also saying that we would like to see volleyball courts, and this is echoed by another person here too. So I'm just throwing them up. We have some comments about our bad audio, which is why I'm trying not to talk because we're not exactly sure what's causing that. So Cassandra, we apologize for that. There is a bird loose in the room. Haven't been able to capture it yet. No, that's what she's suggesting. No, there isn't one. We're not sure what the audio problem is, but we've been trying to work on it, and sometimes it's better than others. Denise wants to know about a pool, and this is a question that's come up before, so maybe we can reference why there's no pool in these plans.
A pool was not part of the top 10 most wanted elements when we did the survey of the community, and the city has a pool. So Mike, you might want to just weigh in on how that rolled out from the very first meeting.
Yeah, the Recreation District has poly pool at South Jackson Park. And so they're working at revamping that pool to make it more attractive, more useful, more fun. So that's the resource that we have in Indio.
Mike, what's your experience on pool costs and maintaining over the life? Is it an element that is expensive to maintain, or is it something that the city can have and afford to have more than one at this point?
They're very expensive to maintain. They don't pay for themselves.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So just another comment there about the pools. In fact, I think Palm Desert, which has one of the largest public pools, is not maintained by the city, if I'm correct in that as well. So Tanya also talking about volleyball, asking maybe about putting the volleyball indoors. What are some of the activities that you're thinking about might go inside that recreation facility?
Well, volleyball for sure would be part of that facility. It would. There's already a club volleyball building that was built down in Palm Desert off of Washington. It's the only indoor volleyball facility other than high schools that I'm aware of, specifically for that purpose. And it's a growing sport, has been since we helped found that as a family. We helped start that volleyball club. So I think the indoor recreational facility will certainly be a compilation of all different types of activities, and ideally a public-private partnership would take place to build and manage and facilitate that.
So Chris, we also have a comment from Michael, who's watching on YouTube right now, asking about indoor basketball courts. So how large is that recreation facility? Because when we're talking about this whole area, I believe it's about 38, 39 acres.
Right.
And the blueprint of that indoor recreational facility is pretty large.
That's 100,000 square foot footprint. And for this park site, it's plenty of space to do basketball, soccer, have flex space. You can see the size of a basketball court in green there on the left-hand side of our plan. That can easily be inside of that building. Several of them. Courts will be available for sure. Once that building gets designed, funded, organized, financed, the whole thing, yeah. We'll have indoor basketball courts. Can't tell you how many, but it's early in the process. So we're
Michael also had a comment about, this is one about using Indio colors for the courts, and we have talked a little bit about incorporating that artistic design.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea. Just like this presentation and the graphics and logo backgrounds, you can see the slides that we have. We're trying to reflect the city colors in everything that we do and carry that through. So there's absolutely opportunities for that.
Michael also asking about paths to play equipment for wheelchair users.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't clear when I presented the playground slides, but all the equipment, it will be accessible and usable. Ground level access is the key to that. The state requires us to have accessibility and for ADA and for wheelchair users.
Another comment from Celia here asking about the community garden, and I believe I speak enough Spanish to know that that's what she's asking about. And so we can show, and let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit, that there is one in these plans.
Yes, there is.
see if I can get back here. Nope. All right, I'll keep working on that.
Right there.
But
You're there. It's up there by the.
it's not wanting to zoom in on that anymore. Let me take this out. Let me see if I can get it figured out while you guys keep talking about that.
Okay. All right. Well, so we have a community garden, and it's right off of Avenue 44, and there'll be its own parking place. And again, that's kind of definitely a placeholder. It's something that the community has been asking for, so we've placed it as a location in the park. Do we have other comments coming?
Yes. Let's see here. It would look nice to have a cultural art around the park.
Yep, that's what we've talked about in using the pathways that are there and providing art in the park, having an event lawn area where we can do that. We have images of that. That's definitely part of this overall master plan.
And I've got us zoomed in again here. So we have another question from Carol about walking paths, which you can see here indicated on the map, but the potential for walking paths indoors.
Well, the indoor recreational facility will probably have the ability to have some sort of a track. I've seen them where the second level is an indoor running track. It really depends, but that would be the place to have that for sure.
This is a robust comment from Nick here asking about tennis courts. If this is not something that can be done in this particular park, can the lights be turned on for nighttime play at other parks in the City of Indio? Only the lights at General Patton Park are on at night. The tennis courts at Jackson Park as well as South Jackson Park never seem to be turned on for evening play. Mike, I think this is for you.
Yes, we will look at that. The lights should be working. We will talk to the park supervisor and see what's going on with those lights.
See, sometimes, Nick, you have to ask to get the answer, and you've got all the people here to ask the questions right now. In fact, Luis, Mike, I don't want to leave anyone out because everyone's asking so many questions right now. But Luis would like to know if there are any plans for the park in North Indio.
Right now,
What are you doing on the spot right now?
right now we don't have any property up there, but that's something that an overall city parks master plan could address, where we need to put parks.
All right. I'm trying to get to some other comments here that maybe we haven't heard. Cassandra asking for handball or racquetball court. And that is potentially something that could happen indoor. Asking for the design concept again, which we've got here. And another comment about instead of a hot playground, artwork and sculptures.
Well, we're going to have that. You have to have a playground too, though. And we'll try to take the heat off the playground with some shade cover. But artwork and sculptures are incorporated into the overall park concept, the event lawn area, and the walking paths. We address that a little bit with those slides.
Yes, and another comment, this one from Tina, some benches with covers for shade. So we're about at the halfway point here, and it might be a good time to, at this point, go through those slides again for people who might have missed them and talk a little bit about it, because if I can find it here on the other side, we are trying to incorporate art in all of the design here. So let's see if I can find that. We'll pull it up. And I liked this one in particular, Chris.
Oh, this is the bench theme slide. Yeah. So we're just showing the options there are for creating some unique ways to express a theme. So up in the left-hand corner at the dog park in Rancho Mirage, there's two things going on here. There's a bench that looks like a dog bone, which we thought was pretty clever. We actually conceptualized this park, and another firm implemented it. And then on the fence itself, there's cutouts of dogs, and various sizes doing different things. The bike rack idea down on the left-hand side is not only just a functional bike rack, but it's art. So we love to see these kinds of things where it's usable art, functional site amenity. And then on the left-hand side is what I would call a little bit more of a stylish bench. We use this on the promenade at Rancho Mirage. Most desired features. Okay.
Most desired features. So that was something we had talked about before.
Mhm.
And maybe we can go through this process again of how we came up with this, how you all came up with what we were seeing there, those renderings.
Yeah, so it started, wow, oh gosh, it's been 6 weeks, I think now, with a community survey, the very first meeting we had. And we asked everyone to, we listed all different types of facilities. You can see that here on the slide. And then we asked them, what do you want the most? And then kind of a ranking of 1 to 5. And this is how those facilities that are shown on the plan were determined. We had actual numbers. You can see there's kind of the numbers. 5 is the most desired, and the gold bars represent how many people wanted that. So at the top, you'll see 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. That's the number of people that answered most desired for open space, for organized sports. So your highest ranked elements are all on the left-hand column in gold. Public art, community, from the bottom up or from the top down, open fields, shade structures, picnic tables, fitness trails, walking paths, pet-friendly dog park, restroom concession, community garden, public art, and then having Wi-Fi. Now we've added to that because you've got enough space, and there are other, you can see that black line in the middle of this graph. There's a lot of stuff that falls right in the, you know, somewhat desired area. So we want to make sure we respond to those because a lot of folks want to see some of these things, and we can master plan them into the project. So once that information is gathered in a forum like this, and the community got an idea of where they were going, we had this meeting last week, about a week and a half ago now, Saturday, on the park site, and laid out blank aerial shots of and boundaries of the park site itself. And the community got the opportunity to take these 10 most desired elements in a scaled drawing with scaled cutouts of the elements and start laying them out, designing the park and getting our input and getting Mike's input and kind of working through this in what we would call in the design world a charrette or a workshop. And you can see the results of those. This took about an hour of time for folks to stick and glue and push things around and get an understanding of how things would function. The parking was about the only thing, the actual main accesses into the park were the only things we said, we think you need to put a street here and a parking lot here and access this way. And the rest of it was up to the community to come up with. And these are the results of a variety. And you can just go kind of scroll through these of how those fields laid out and the recreational facility and the dog park, and how folks responded to the challenge. And it was really great. Some really good first-year designers here. They could do well. This one right here is probably the closest to what we ended up kind of taking the best of everything and picking what we thought was the best way to organize all the elements with all the various inputs. And you'll see the indoor recreational facility on the left-hand side. This one, they laid on the areas of various fields and courts. So you can see what can go on inside that building, that 100,000 square foot footprint. So then the final outcome of this was to keep them together, scan them and print them, and then stick them up on our wall in our office. And I think there's a slide of that coming up. And take a look at, well, what's the best, what's the worst, what can we do better? And this is Jose and Ivan. Jose is our vice president, and he's the project manager on this, and Ivan's one of our designers. So we take that and we put it together, and we go back and forth as using our 40 years of experience and say, okay, here's what we think is best for the city and the community. And we come up with a preliminary final plan, which is what you're going to see right here. So you can, if you'll recall that last conceptual where the indoor recreational facility was on the left-hand corner, about the only thing we changed on that was we switched the ball fields from the far right to the center of the parking lot so we could create this grand arrival and an axis that helps organize the site and move the fields around a little bit. We threw the skate park over by the dog park because we thought those uses worked better together. But generally speaking, that was good input. And I mentioned this earlier. These indoor recreational facilities at this scale, the cities can't do this by themselves. So it's usually a public-private partnership. And inside that space, they might have a gym facility that's open to the public, that there's a membership to join and participate in. So that parking area should have enough access to the facility directly, but also enough parking for this entire park site has been provided, along with expansion. And someone emailed me how many, or they actually on Facebook asked how many parking places. There's about 400, and we can expand to 500 right now with future parking areas. There's plenty of room to park inside the park, and we've spread it out so there's access to these fields. You don't have to park in a big asphalt jungle and walk to your fields across a bunch of pavement. This is a nice park because it's laid out in a lineal fashion, so it really speaks well to this kind of a design. There's Tanya. I think Tanya was really great in the workshop process, and she's the one who mentioned the indoor recreational facility being organized with parking close to it for private access. So, Brooke, it's back to you. There's something, got some more questions coming?
We don't have any more questions right now, other than one who asked, actually we do here, talking about budget. This is from Tina, talking about a budget and
Right.
timeline for submittal. So we should definitely highlight this process, and this is sort of a wish list.
Right. Yeah. So this is, we have a budget. We're trying here. Maybe there's an $8.5 million grant that the state of California is offering, and we are trying to convince the state this is the project to take that $8.5 million and put it here for a whole variety of reasons. They should be really leaning towards this community. It's what would be called an economically deprived area. It's a definite need in the community. The grant process requires that community helps become part of the design process. And so the question would be, what can you build for $8.5 million? Well, you can't do 39 acres, but we feel pretty confident that if you were to go from the indoor recreational facility in the east, where that big square is, pretty much can go east of that line, and go as far as perhaps, we can get the ball fields, the overlays, and we can go to the football field. You can get, the rest of this is grass and irrigation and trees. So that's not the most expensive thing to install, but we think we can do about 15 acres with $8.5 million. So maybe half the park or just a third of the park can be developed. And that's generally speaking. So we're going to come back. We're going to talk about phasing. We're going to look at some estimates, try to look at some of these elements and what they're going to cost, and work with Mike on that in the next round. Brooke's off. Brooke, we don't hear you.
You caught me there. Cassandra asking about paths. So she's talking about hiking paths. She says that Indio has enough parks. And Mike, I know this is something that we have heard a couple of times, but what I think it is that here we have the opportunity to obtain a grant and to take land that Indio currently owns and turn it into something for the community.
Yeah, if you look at the overall city, we don't have enough parkland for the community. So this will help us greatly. And we do have some pathways, like up at Posse Park. There's a nice new parking area and pathway up there. So we can absolutely, in a master plan for the whole city, a parks master plan, figure out where we can put additional pathways and hiking trails.
Mhm.
Are you talking about the East Indio Hills trailhead?
Yeah, that's right off of Golf
It has,
Center in
it
42.
has many, many names.
Yes.
So some people do refer to it as Posse Park. We've also heard it called the Badlands Trail, but that is newly opened. And as the weather cools off, that is a terrific way to enjoy the view at about 1,000 feet.
And it's very popular. The parking lot in the early morning is very full.
Another comment from Jesse. Are there lights for the football field for practices or games? Again with the lights, Mike.
Yeah. Jose,
Yeah.
I want to chime in real quick on how you lay these fields out.
Yeah, right now we're going to light the ball fields, the baseball fields, and then I'm showing the overlay there for soccer or football in the event that there is a football or soccer event in the larger ball field. So for right now, the budget would cover that area only.
We're really getting some comments now. This one is from Juliet asking if there's a plan for an amphitheater. I think a safe and well-lit walking path would be beneficial to all. And someone who agrees with you, Mike, that we don't have enough parks, too many empty dirt lots. So this would be turning an empty dirt lot into something else. And this is this event lawn area, a performance area.
Correct. So there's a lot of different thoughts on what does an amphitheater mean, but we've got enough community input that there's a opportunity here to create a place for people to perform and listen to music and hang out during special events. We have a slide of that. It's not a formal amphitheater, but it's an area with a concrete platform and a place to plug in music and maybe a slight slope on grassed area to allow people to sit around and enjoy it. We've done several amphitheaters recently, and the variety of different types and sizes and costs are all over the board. But we're trying to respond to this is a sports park, but we're providing opportunities for other community interaction to activate the space 24/7. But obviously it's closed at night, and do a variety of things here. And that little event lawn area is going to be really a fun spot in the project.
I'm trying to find the photos that we had here of the event space as we'd like it to be used. And we've also talked about, we can bring this back up here too, about some picnic areas.
Yeah, picnicking can take place in any park, and what we're trying to do is spread it out in different ways. Somewhat like the one on the right-hand side it's just a small little picnic table right off of a pathway, ADA accessible, easy to get to, easy to maintain, somewhat private. The only thing missing on this one would be some trees around it to give it some shade. On the left-hand side, you've got the group shelters, the big group shelters where there could be a big party. We've tried to avoid doing too many of those. We find that they become attractive to those folks who want to stay there overnight. So what we're trying to do is smaller shelters with maybe a couple of tables, and spread them out. Now, there was a comment two workshops ago about how someone was standing under a picnic shelter and sitting at their table, but the sun was coming right in and it wasn't giving them any shade. And that's kind of the way it goes. What we try to do is find where's the west setting sun. You obviously put the table underneath the picnic shelter, but we also try to get some trees around these that'll provide the shade when the low sun angles are coming in underneath the roof. So that's just kind of, as you know, the sun moves around, so you're not going to see shade everywhere all the time. Trees provide the best kind of shade, we think, and it's not expensive shade. These structures on like this double shade structure over the play area. What would you say, Jose, the cost of that shade structure is?
They were close to $90,000 each. They're very expensive.
Yeah, but we can get more simpler configurations like the one on the right-hand side, or up in even the one that's kind of in the middle on the top row is a little simpler. It's a hip design. although it's cantilever. Well, maybe not cantilever. Maybe that's not. That's only a single. So there are ways to get them done less expensively and still get the effect that you need.
We are continuing to get comments, even 50 minutes in. We still have almost 24 people who are watching in various ways. Gabriel Vargas Castillo asking again about this indoor recreation area. So let me see if I can, again, take myself out of it, and I will look for that while you guys talk about that indoor recreation area, which is what do you think? Is that going to be probably one of the more expensive components of a park like this?
Yeah, they're the only, as I mentioned earlier, the best way to get that done is to get a public-private partnership with an outside sports facility management group, someone maybe that's focused on youth sports and team sports. There's probably grant money out there to do it. They're extremely expensive and not something that's in any budget that we can look at as far as city operational expenses. But certainly, given a space and the right promotion to the right group, we have some folks in the community that are trying to put that all together so we can offer our youth programs more than outdoor sports in 120-degree weather, and address some of these things like indoor running or basketball or soccer, and get the kids off, get them out from their homes and their gaming stations and into facilities that they can do their sports in. Not that there's anything wrong with gaming. I've just learned that you can get a scholarship doing internet gaming. So, don't take that away. My son was playing games when he was a kid, and he didn't get a scholarship then, but maybe you should have focused on that myself.
I think that your point too about indoor or outdoor is something that's echoed by the people who are watching as well. Juliet talking about with COVID, we've really, it highlights the need for things outdoors. And with so many months of the year, it being very warm, having those large indoor options is good, but she also appreciates that shady picnic tables can have their place as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. COVID's going to change a lot of things for a while. And having that distance is always good.
Yeah, it is. Can we talk about next steps? Because this has been a long process throughout October and also into November now. So where do we go from here? And what is the likelihood that this could happen?
Well, I can answer where we go from here is our next meeting, November 7th. It'll be on site. We'll take that master plan, make some more adjustments to it that as a result of this community input meeting, review it with the city, and then present it to the community. Then we'll have fulfilled the grant requirements for the 5 community outreach meetings. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but from there we go to City Council.
That's right. We're going to the Community Services Commission to present the master plan, and then the next night is the council meeting where council will, if they approve it, then they'll direct us to apply for the grant, and then December 14th, we put in our application for the grant.
Yeah, this is a very fast track project. Now, what are our chances of getting it? I don't know.
We're working with a consultant that helps us with grant writing, and she's feeling pretty confident that we will have a competitive project here.
Now, do they give part of that grant away? I mean, would they say, oh, well, we're not going to give you 8.5, we're going to give you 4 or something like that?
That's a possibility.
Okay. Okay, guys, so we're going to go for 8.5.
Yes, that's what we're asking for.
$8.5 million, and that would not cover the cost of a park like this. It would be kind of a down payment, but then we would look for other ways to fund the rest of the project.
Yeah, this would be the first phase.
this would be a good head start. It's a significant amount of money, so we can get a lot done with it.
For the next 5 minutes or so, as we're waiting for some additional comments to come in here, let's just go through really quickly, if we could, Chris, the location, in case people are not familiar with where this is.
Right.
Because we were looking very closely
Yeah.
at this before.
Yeah. So this
I keep
location is
looking it
ideal.
up when I go in here. So let's see if I can figure it out again. Here we go. This is the location.
Yeah. So what's important to this grant is that it's walkable to the economic area where folks may not have internet access. They may not have a car. So this is the reason why this park could be positioned pretty well for this grant, that we're in an economically quote unquote deprived area. We're accessible by foot. There's a lot of people. There's 3,000 some people that have been noticed directly by mail in this vicinity to understand what's going on with the park. And then you know, Mike mentioned these other parks that have some of the facilities folks are asking for. The only one that's outside of that 1 mile circle is South Jackson, and it's not by much. So this is sort of this will be the heart of the park system in this particular area and region of the city. So you can see all the other communities around the park site that have been identified in the general plan. So you touch West Indio and the downtown, the midtown, the North Indio sphere. Jackson neighborhoods are the biggest, and the downtown are the biggest neighborhoods that will benefit from that. So it's a great location. City owns the property. The good thing too is there's not a lot of money that'll have to be spent on street improvements and utilities. They're there. That's a big cost typically.
It sure is, but it's great that it's so close to so many arterial roads here.
Yep.
And these paths that people are talking about. Earlier this evening, the Community Development Department led a discussion about the Indio Transformative Climate Communities Plan. And I believe that part of that is either very close to or within this general neighborhood. So that's something else that we're all considering here. If we have any other comments, we'll take them now. Otherwise, we're going to wrap things up with a call again for a reminder about the next meeting, which is on Saturday, November 7th, and it's actually on location. And Chris, you might have said this before, but are people going to be cutting and pasting again?
No, I think we're done with that. Mike, do you have any input?
Yeah, we're done with that. Chris is going to be refining the master plan with the comments received tonight. And what we're going to do is present the final master plan on November 7th.
Yep.
So if you would like to see what you really created here, because this was a project that was put together by the entire community, please come to that meeting. You can see from the photos there that it is outside, it's early, so it's not hot, and there's plenty of social distancing, masks required, and we've had really great attendance over the last few weeks. You'll be able to see the results of all of that hard work. So we're continuing to get those comments, and we appreciate everyone for watching. If you felt like the information here was useful, then share it with people that you know, people in the community. And anything to wrap up, Jose?
Well, looking forward to the next meeting so we could discuss phasing and budgeting.
And what about you, Mike?
It'll be exciting to see the final master plan and be able to present it and see the community's reaction.
Chris?
Well, it's kind of fun to take all the different inputs that came in and see the community's talent really come together and just be able to facilitate that. I wasn't kidding. I think there's a lot of folks here that have gotten their first year design studio workshop experience. And you don't get to do that very often on projects. And the fact that there were as many as 30 to 40 folks at any one time at this event speaks to what the community really values and what they did. And it's exciting to be part of it. So like you said, Brooke, it's their work that we helped kind of massage and get it into place. So we're looking forward to being able to show the work efforts that everyone put into this.
Yeah, I love looking at these. These are the actual designs that people came up with at the last meeting, and then this is you guys hard at work, sort of processing and synthesizing all of these ideas into this. So continue to go to Indio Sports Park page on Facebook, and you can get the updates. We'll continue to keep you posted about the next meeting Saturday, November 7th from 9 to 11 in the little parking lot there next to River of Life Church, which is, if you can see my mouse, and I don't know if you can, kind of in this general direction. Is it right here?
Right there, right there.
Right here.
That's
Okay.
right.
You can see that tiny little cursor. That's where it is, right off of Avenue 44. And thank you to all who took part in this process. And have a terrific night, everyone. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you.